Hey, welcome back to the show. We're going to continue with the action RPG tutorial series. This is probably my third take for this video. I had so many interruptions and I made so many mistakes with the first two takes. I figured I'd just get through this one as quickly as possible. So what we're going to do is, before I keep going actually, is I'm a little bit sick at the moment. So just bear with me for a second while I have a drink here. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're not going to finish it, but we're going to flesh out the enemy state machine today. So we're going to build on the idol, we're going to have him wander around, and we're going to have him chase the player. And also before the end of the video, I have some homework for you guys. So it's not going to be hard homework, believe me. It's going to be something that you guys can handle, but there will be homework. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing that you will need is you'll need the parent enemy. And in the create event, we're just going to add two new variables here. One is decision time, I guess. And I will explain this later. Decision time, and we're going to use this function called iRandomRange. Basically, all iRandomRange does is it picks a number between two values. So in this case, for example, with 2 and 5, it will pick 2, 3, 4, or 5. So it's got 4 numbers to pick from. And then we're also going to add in care distance. Care distance, and I'm going to set mine to 48, just so that we have something to work with. Now, you can change these values to whatever you want. So with this, you can make it maybe 1 or 3 or whatever. We're going to use this value here. Decision time will determine how long it will take for the AI, when it's not doing anything, to make a choice. And the care distance will be the distance between the player and the enemy before it starts noticing it. So the idea is that the enemies will always know where the player is, but depending on how close they are or the distance between them, it will either chase the player or it will just leave them alone. So it's completely up to this value here. So you can change that to whatever you want. I'm going to set mine at 48. You can have yours closer or further away if you want. And of course you can have your individual enemies override that. But for now, let's just work on a basic number. But that's pretty much all we're going to need for the enemy for now, the parent enemy for now. The next thing that we are going to need is we're going to need a new script. And we're going to call this locate player. I've been sick for the past 3 weeks, and I've actually had these notes for 3 weeks. And so I'll make another video explaining all that, but yeah, I've been away for 3 weeks. Been super busy and also super sick at the same time. But that's for, yeah, I'll make an announcement video for you guys about that. So for this one, in the locate player, the first thing we're going to say is if the instance of the player exists. So instance exists. Of course, we're looking for the player, so object player exists. Let me just check my time. Okay, great. So if the player does exist in the room, it's going to say we're going to use a var. I'm going to say distance. Yeah, we'll just use that distance, and then we're going to use this function here, point distance. Make sure you're using point distance, not point distance 3D, because we are only checking on 2 planes. So point distance, what we're going to do is we're going to use obviously the enemy's X position and the Y position, and then obviously we're going to measure towards the player. Okay, player.y. Done. Okay, let me just check all that. Yep, that's great. So basically what point distance does is it creates a line between the calling object and the object you're checking with, and it gets that number. That's all it is. And then if distance is less than char distance, then for now, we'll just leave it empty for now, but we're going to say show debug message, I'm close. And then down here, we're going to say else show debug message, I'm far. Pretty simple for now. In fact, it won't do anything at the moment. Actually, you know what? Let's test it. It should work. I mean, it will tell us if the player is close to the enemy or not, assuming that an enemy does spawn when we walk into the room. Unlike that. Okay, so, right, okay, so we have to do a couple things first. We got a few errors there. Before we test that again, let's go down here into Move Collide, scroll down to the bottom, and in this section here, I've already typed it out, it's temporary. So what you want to do is disable it. So type / and star. And with that, you can actually block out an entire segment of code. It's pretty useful to have. All right, so that's done. And while we're at it, let's go into the parent enemy here. Let's go into step, and let's do the same thing for all of this, except for the last line, which is script execute and state. So we'll just leave it at that. Let's close that. And here in the enemy idle event, we're going to call the locate player script. Basically, locate player will run in almost all of the enemy states. Not all of them. At least not in this. In this video, it will run in every state, but overall it won't run in all states. So let's play that again. Okay, so he's far away. Oh, he's close. Now he's far away again. Now he's close. Now, obviously, we want it to do more than just that. But before we do anything else, we need to obviously put more scripts down. So let me just clean up my list for now. We're going to create yet another script, and this time we'll call it enemy input, not in out, input. Okay. So basically what this is the player has the keyboard input. This is basically the same thing, but instead of a keyboard input, it rolls some dice and it will do something depending on what it rolls. So first, let's go with this. Enemy input will go decision time. Decision time minus equals, and again here you can get a little bit creative. I'm going to use 0.05 multiplied by global.delta time. Okay, so basically what's going to happen is the decision time, whatever the decision time is, will minus by 0.05 at a steady rate. It's not going to be frame locked. It will be time dependent, not frame dependent, which is good. And then if decision time is less than or equal to, less than or equal to 0, we're going to do something. In fact, we are going to say, with that, we're going to say decision time. We're going to reset it. So we're going to go I random range. And we're going to say, again, I'll just stick to 2 and 5. You can change that number to whatever you want. It doesn't really, it kind of does matter, but then at the same time, it doesn't matter. I'm not entirely sure what I mean by that, but we'll get to that in a second. Okay, so once we've reset it, we need to then store a local variable. I'm just going to say do. And in this case, I'm going to use I random. And we've used this function before when we're spawning enemies. So again, this one will roll either 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the difference between range and just regular random. In this case, it will roll 6 numbers, whereas this one will roll 4. It helps with, I guess, narrowing down what you, what's the word I'm looking for? it narrows down the chances of something happening. So you have a little bit more control and more predictability in what you are generating in terms of random numbers. Okay, so in this case, we're going to run a switch statement with do. I hate this cold. At least I think it's a cold. But yeah, I've had it for 3 weeks and it really sucks. So in this case, wait, let me just type these cases out, and then I'll explain it. I'll explain what we're going to do with them after. Case 3, case 4, and the last one, case 5. And of course, we're going to break at the end there. Okay. Again, just like with the enemy spawn, I'm going to let you guys be creative, but here there's going to be a 2 in 6 chance of the enemy not doing anything. And so it's just simply going to go state equals enemy idle. Remember, we're not calling the script, we're just setting the state. And then there's going to be a 4 in 6 chance that we're going to do something else. We haven't actually written that script yet, so let's actually do that now. We're going to write up the last 2 scripts that we will need for today, and that is enemy wander and create script enemy chase. Done. Okay, so they're going to look somewhat similar, but in either the next video or the video after that, I haven't decided yet, they will act differently, but for now they'll be pretty much the same. So here in enemy wander, we're going to, actually, you know what, let's close that. Same thing with chase. Let's go back to enemy input here. We'll go target x equals set random, we'll use irandom range, cell and room width minus cell. And then again, we're going to go with target y and whoops, irandom range again, cell, but this time with a y, room height minus cell. So make sure that the point that the enemy chooses to go will always be in the room. That's just something that we kind of want to make sure. But at the same time, because we're using cell, we are also making sure that the enemy will always be visible. Or at least I think so. I hope so. All right. The next part is we need to go state. We're going to set the state to enemy wander. Again, remember, don't put the brackets in. We just want to set the state, not call the function. Okay, now here in enemy wander, we're going to call locate player. We are, like I said, we're going to be calling locate player in all of these scripts. Now here, it's going to get a little bit weird, but bear with me. Move collide. Now with move collide, we're going to type in sign target x minus x multiplied by speed. Okay, that's just keep that in mind. Don't ask questions, don't worry about the questions, but when I was testing out the code earlier, if I just had this, it didn't make any sense. And so we need to use this function instead. Basically what we're doing here is we're basically running the length dir functions, except we don't have a length or dir. So instead we're basically using this. I hope that made sense. If you don't fully understand it, there is a joke amongst a lot of programmers where there's a meme actually about it, about programmers not knowing why the code works and not knowing why it doesn't work. But anyway, we don't need to be concerned about that. If you do have any questions, you guys know what to do. But if you do have questions, and you put it down in the comment section, just say that if you managed to solve it, just say that you solved it. Don't delete it, because I get the notification anyway, and because it comes up as deleted, it kind of frustrates me. So let's keep going. move collide, and obviously we want to collide with the object collision, and we don't want it to destroy when we collide, so make sure that's false. Alright, so that's it. Let's test it to see what happens. Or rather, we can't do that because in the locate player state, we need to do this here. Grab this here, and instead we're going to say enemy input. Enemy input. Now we want to call the script. So basically, if the enemy is not close to the player, or if the player is not close to the enemy, it will just wander around and just go somewhere. But also, if the player has like died or something, we don't want the game to throw an error, so we go enemy input as well. So basically, even though the player is dead and whatever, the enemy will still wander around. It won't throw an error, which will break the game. So let's try that now. So either it will print out I'm close, or it will wander around. We'll see what happens. Let's hope that an enemy does spawn. Okay, so there we go. It's close. Now it's far away, and he's just going wherever he wants. It's a bit random. The movements are random because they are picking random points in the room. But you see that he's just going away, and then if we get close, I mean, he still won't. He's gonna try and catch up to me. But yeah. Anyway, that's basically the code there. We do, however, need to do one more thing, and that's enemy chase. And so with this, seeing as we know that works, we're simply going to say if it's close enough, we're going to say target x equals obj player dot x, and target y equals obj player dot y. And then we're going to change the state to be enemy chase, obviously. Enemy chase. Done. Okay, now for this one, it's exactly the same. We're going to, as wander, so we're going to type in locate player. Boop, boop. And then we're going to check for, we're going to go move collide. And just like with wander, we'll type sign, target x minus x multiplied by speed. And then we're going to assign target y minus y multiplied by speed. And then obj collision and false. Okay, so that should be 100% done by now. Let's test it out. Hopefully everything's come together really well for you guys. Hopefully it's been easy. That was a very short 20 minutes, but let's hope that it works. Okay, so there we go. We're close to the enemy, and you see, now here's the problem. Because we haven't completed and we don't have animations for it, this guy, our enemy, is actually stuck in the hurt event. And so nothing's happening here. But if we go, can we get a smaller enemy? There we go. Okay, so he's close now. And if we get far enough away far enough, he'll just start wandering around and not really caring where we are. And if we get close, he'll try to chase us and get really close to us. Now, like I said just before, because we haven't got animations, we can't actually exit out of the hurt event. Let me show you what I mean. If we type here in the hurt here, let's have it show a debug message. I'm hurt. We'll just go ouch. That makes sense. That makes sense to say that. Now let me show you what I was talking about. So because we don't have any animations for the enemy, we can actually go back into the original state. So if we get close enough to him, okay, so whatever. If we shoot, you can see here that all it's printing out is ouch, 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 ouch. And that's because we haven't got a way to actually tell this object to the enemy object or even the player object to go back to the previous state, or in this case the idle state. That's because there are no animations for it. Our state machine is reliant on animations, and so that's what we're going to need. Now here comes the homework part. All right, now that we're pretty much done with it. Your homework for this video is to actually come up here into the sprites and upload your own enemy sprites here. I do have some free resources in my Google Drive, so go have a look at that if you're interested in using them. And by all means, you can use them. They don't look that good, but you can use them if you want. And like I said, that we're pretty much done for this video. If there's something that doesn't work, or if there's a few questions that you have, by all means, ask away. Yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say. So your homework is to grab yourself some enemy sprites. You can use my Google Drive sprites. I'll put the link for that in the description so that you guys can get it, as well as the player sprites as well. Apart from that, the next 2, maybe 3 videos will finish off the enemy state machine, as in like they'll be able to attack and they'll be able to die. And then we still have to do another project cleanup, and then we have to do just one more topic, and that's basic inventory, so beginner level inventory. It won't be anything special, but it'll be something that you guys can use. And then after that, we'll actually be finished. We'll be finished with the entire project. So hopefully I can get this done in time for the Tokyo Game Show, which is in September. But until then, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next session. Bye-bye.